Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. If we'll go ahead and start to settle in, make this the 32nd morning, and then we'll call this to order. We are thin in direct attendance this afternoon, but we have a quorum virtual quorum. I don't know exactly how we're saying that these days. And again, the chair will apologize. There's nothing quite so disconcerting as seeing yourself on a time delay in a monitor and trying to stay on task in terms of making your statements. You're half a second behind when you're looking at yourself in the monitor. So that's somewhat disconcerting. So if we'll go ahead and settle in, we have several items on the agenda this afternoon. Two items actually. We're looking if the committee is ready, we'll take action on House Bill 152. This will be the second time we've seen that this session, and several times we've seen it when you combine last year and this year. And then we'll get to House Bill 291 from Chairman Dempsey. So with that, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order now officially, and welcome everybody to the House I'm looking at the combined meeting we'll have shortly, the House Higher Education Committee. And we'll move on in the agenda this afternoon and ask Representative Wiedauer if you can come and give us just a brief introduction to House Bill 152. I have LC 490370S. Representative, and let me turn you on back there.
Hear me now? All right. All right. As you just said, I'm bringing you House Bill 152 LC 490370S. As we heard last week and last year, this is the bill for the Non-Public Post-Secondary Education Commission. Just real quickly, Section 1. There are schools such as these located on military bases that are overseen by the federal government. So with that, in efforts of streamlining and saving the departments some money, bringing them out from underneath our umbrella and let the federal government take care of them. Section 2, nothing changes in the code. It just is a cleanup of the numbering. You'll see that on line 25. Moving into Section 3. What this does is it just gives the director the opportunity to conduct review of some of these universities remotely.
If the gentleman would yield, I'm going to give you a break if you can. This is the same text that we had at the last hearing.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
If you'd like to continue through it on a section by section, but if not, I would allow you to complete the. I know you. The reason I asked you that, Representative, is I know you have another bill to present in another committee. So out of the interest of time, if conclude your presentation, then I'll ask questions. And if we lead back to section by section, we'll let you address that at that time out of the interest of time.
Yes, sir. Again, same bill as last week, and certainly would just entertain questions at this point.
Thank you very much. And again, I don't mean to rush, but I know you'd said earlier you had a place to be. So I will ask, does the committee have questions? If you would press your button, you'll light up on the board here. At the same time, I would ask online if anyone wave at us either digitally or analog by the old wave of the hand. I see you, Chairman Purple there. I see no questions for the gentleman. We are in a position to take action. We have House Bill 152 LC 4. I've seen number 68. Yes, ma'am. Who is that? Yes, ma'am. You're recognized.
At the appropriate time, I would like to make a motion.
Now would be that. Let me just sound the LC number. We have before us HB 152 LC 490370S. We are in a position to take action. I recognize the lady for a motion.
Do pass.
I have a motion. Do pass. Is there a second? I have a motion and a second that this item do pass. Is there discussion? Discussion. I see none virtually. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion is do pass LC 490370S, House Bill 152 to the Rules Committee. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any,
Aye.
any opposed,
Aye.
no?
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me? This Patty Bentley, aye.
Yes, Madam Secretary of the committee, yes, ma'am, we hear you.
Okay, thank
So
you.
I am hearing all those in favor. I heard a lot of ayes. Let me just ask, because we're doing this hybrid, is there any noes? Are there any noes? Then the motion passes. LC 490370S, House Bill 152 moves along to rules with a unanimous vote of the House Higher Education Committee. Representative, you
Thank
know
you.
the paperwork that you need to put in for
Yes, sir.
the rules chairman. Thank you
Mr.
very
Chairman.
much. Thanks, committee, for that. We'll move on today for a hearing. This too is an item we have seen earlier last session, and as many bills measures before the body got tied up during the expedited session. Chairman Katie Dempsey is going to bring us House Bill 291 LC 490367. Chairman Dempsey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. So this is a measure making a return visit, as you just said. Last year, it came to us as HB 1085, which made it out of committee. It made it two rules, but as the session began to change, it did not move forward. This is truly a measure to address the shortage of nursing students that we have within our state, particularly even before COVID-19, before the crisis hit us. We were keenly focused on how to address the healthcare workforce shortages in Georgia and make sure that there are enough quality trained nurses ready to take care of Georgia's citizens. To expand the pool, one crucial element is to provide financial assistance and remove the limitations. And that is the intent of this legislation, drafted through a narrow and targeted amendment to the Georgia Tuition Equalization Grant Program, TEG. So this will allow particularly Georgia residents to attend eligible private colleges, universities in Georgia by providing assistance toward those educational costs. But there are some very basic eligibility requirements to be eligible for this grant. The students must be a U.S. citizen or national of the U.S. or evidence of eligible permanent resident alien status, be a legal resident in Georgia, be enrolled as a full-time student at an eligible private college or university in Georgia, be an undergraduate student in a program of study leading to a college university degree, maintain satisfactory academic progress, be in compliance with selective service registration requirements, not be in default or owe a refund on a student financial aid program, be in compliance with the Georgia Drug-Free Post-Secondary Education Act of 1990, and must have received TEG payments for more than 127 semester to 190 quarter hours. Must not have, they must not have previously received that. Recipients receive an award of $317 per quarter or $475 per semester, and can receive payment for up to 4 quarters or 3 semesters per year. During the 2011 legislative session, House Bill 326 was passed by the General Assembly and signed by the governor, which included provisions changing the eligibility of criteria for private colleges and universities and qualifying for the tuition equalization grant. Basically, it grandfathered in all existing eligible institutions, but practically made it impossible for any new institutions to qualify. So the 34 that were allowed in 2011 is where we are today. As we have moved forward since that time, though, there are some new opportunities, and it's time for us to look at those. The legislation would amend this code section to provide that in addition to the current colleges and universities that are eligible, the private colleges, universities with high-performing nursing programs would also be eligible. Specifically accredited by the Commission on Collegiate Nursing that have a National Council licensure examination, 4-year average passage rate at least 85%. The Georgia Board of Nursing requires only passage of 80%, so this surpasses that. In addition, there are a number of other requirements the institution must meet, including general higher education accreditation and having a physical location, bricks and mortar campus in Georgia. The bill will ensure that all private nursing programs providing a superior education to Georgia's future generation of nurses will be eligible for this grant program. It will level the playing field with other private nursing programs that were grandfathered into the program in 2011 and whose students are now currently eligible. If these students become eligible, they will also be eligible to apply for Hope and Zell Miller scholarships. The total cost for expanding this program is estimated between 1.1 million and just under 1.6 million. As I said, there are 34 colleges and universities that do qualify right now. I do have here today a witness to talk to us, an expert, Dr. Sean Little, representing the Chamberlain School campus in Atlanta, if I may bring her forward now.
Yes, ma'am. Would you care, if you don't mind, let me just ask if you have questions of the author, or do you, the committee wish to wait on the rest of the presentation? I see no questions. Please bring your witness.
Great, Dr. Little.
Hi, thank you, Chairman and committee. I appreciate the time and ability to speak. Sorry. Little taller. My name is Dr. Sean Little. I'm the campus president for Chamberlain University School of Nursing, our Atlanta campus. I was very excited about this bill because it will help us to create a workforce within the state of Georgia to increase our workload. Right now, according to the Georgia Nurses Association, the median age of nurses are about 46 years of age. So over half of our nursing population is approaching the age of retirement. I am grateful to say I'm within that category as well. But with that said, we are going to be losing nurses. It's estimated by about 2030, we're going to be 2,000 nurses in the short. That's not counting impact of COVID, which hasn't been researched yet. So what this bill is going to help propose is decreasing some of the financial burden so that people can come into the nursing programs and be able to expand and become part of that healthcare workforce. We're asking for high performing schools to be able to do that, because having high performing healthcare providers is not an option. It has to happen. The great thing about the schools within the state is we are heavily monitored by the Georgia Board of Nursing. Chamberlain School of Nursing in 2020, we sat, according to the Board of Nursing, 319 graduates for their board exam. Out of those, we had a 90.91% pass rate. That is higher than the national average, which is 90.29%. And it's higher than the state average, which is 88.83% or 38%, excuse me, 88.38%. So the idea of building a workforce is paramount. If we don't do that, we're not only going to limit the access to healthcare within the rural areas, we're going to limit it within the local area as well, Metro Atlanta. Our graduates currently work at all of the local large facilities, Wellstar, Piedmont, Grady, Northside, Emory, but we also work within the rural areas as well. I believe that in support of House Bill 291, it's going to help open up opportunities for more people to become professional nurses within the state and to help alleviate some of that strain within our healthcare system. Thank you.
Thank you. Will the lady take questions if we have them?
Absolutely.
Thank you. The committee have questions. Again, we're in a posture today on this bill. It's a hearing only, but if there are questions about language in the bill, or if committee would like any additional information, now would be the time to sound that. If we don't have that answer today, that'll give us the next few days and over into next week when we would bring this back for potential action in the committee. Any questions? Any questions? Ma'am, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did we have one online? I'm sorry. Okay. The questions for the author of the bill? Okay, and okay, we have two. Representative Dr. Jasmine Clark, you're recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Dempsey, for bringing the bill. I did have two very short questions. The first question is, you mentioned that this tuition equalization grant has been around for a while. And I'm just curious because I guess when I hear the word equalization, and I don't necessarily think of $300 as being, that big of a chunk of money that would go toward tuition. And so I'm just wondering how many students are currently using the tuition equalization grants. And then my second question was more about how we are choosing which schools are quality schools. I don't see how the language in the bill addresses which schools are quality. I have tremendous respect for Chamberlain. And I do think that that is a quality school, but I'm just trying to figure out like where are how do we decide which ones are quality programs and which ones are not? Thank you.
So I think the question that you're asking really applies to the original legislation that is already in code right now. I do not know right off the top of my head what the number of students are that are actually receiving the grant today across the 34 existing colleges and universities, but we can get that and get that for you when we come back for another hearing.
Okay, thank you.
And as far as quality, the measure, it also speaks, I think, to the original legislation. There are, if you look, there's really only one addition. And if you have the bill in front of you, it would be at the bottom of the second page, actually, is the language change. And it lays out pretty specifically that it is a 4-year school. The average passage rate of 85% is for this measure that we're looking at. So that's the least they could do. You have to have, this is more speaking to how you qualify to get the grant than more what the original legislation dealt with.
And Chairman Dempsey, if I might come in, I think Dr. Clark, also you may be asking what the qualified proprietary institution is being used from actually line 15, and it's being used again down in line 32. And what we'll do for that, but when we bring the legislation back, and we'll try to get to you in the meantime, is pull that code section so that you see the definition of that as a term of legal art, so that we know what that definition is. Because the Chair Lady Dempsey is just using that definition as is being used in the rest of the code section with tuition equalization grants. And your point is noted, as well as this doesn't really equalize the tuition at that school with or this school or others with the tuitions that might be paid at some public universities. And that name was predates me in here. So it was back when there were cave people, cavemen building fire when that name came about. But we'll look for that as well. And perhaps over time, those numbers, which is what I'll get to later in the meeting of predates, we have some people that want to look at how some funding is done and various things. And perhaps that's something to look at. Thank you for the question. Did you have anything further?
Chairman Martin, I do have that in the fiscal year 20, the amount was $27,000. Students, I'm sorry, 27,000 students, of course.
20, so I don't know if you could hear that, Dr. Clark, but 27,000 students were
eligible.
Okay,
Thank you. Did you have anything further?
That was it. Thank you.
Chairman Parker.
Thank you. I'm assuming from doing the math that we're looking at between 1,000 and 1,500 students that we anticipate would take advantage of this tuition equalization. Is that about right, Chairman?
That is what would happen if they became eligible for the grant.
And in essence, all we're doing is opening the window to allow, I know we've had a discussion about quality, but not a fly by night. These have a physical presence. They are passing students at a great rate to fill the shortage that we have in this great state. And so we're just opening the window to allow equalization for institutions that were not eligible at the caveman times, as the chairman so eloquently stated when we first did this equalization grants.
That is right. We're growing the opportunity to help increase capacity of nurses in our state.
Thank you.
I'm going to regret the caveman comment on that. Well, thank you very much. Do we have further questions? Further questions on, yes, ma'am. Representative Burnout. Unmute, Representative.
Thank you. I thought I had. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for bringing this legislation forth. And maybe I missed this. Is this only for private schools, or is it for, like, Clayton State is in Clayton County and they have a large nursing program? So would this apply to Clayton State's nursing program?
The grant program is for private institutions. So our private colleges and institutions, the Clayton State students, I believe, would be eligible for HOPE and for other assistance. But our private tuitions are higher usually, and this helps those students.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good question, Representative. This is in lieu of the HOPE that would go with the nursing programs at the public institutions. Yes, ma'am. Further questions? Further questions? I see no further questions virtually or in the room. Chairman Dempsey, thank you for bringing the bill. There's a couple things that you and I had spoken about earlier in the meeting that I just want to touch base with you with, and we'll do that over the next day or so and try to get this back in front of the committee early next week, as we can schedule a meeting because the days are running short.
Thank you, Chairman Martin.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, primary to committee members, let me go over just a couple of things. And then again, I want to invite you to stay. You should have all gotten a notice of a hybrid meeting. We'll be joining Chairman Knight's Higher Education Appropriations Committee for the furtherance of this at 2 p.m. So I'm going to wind us up here and we'll have just a short break. I want to sound, I have to find my list. Before the committee, we are, as I mentioned, running tight with legislative days as we're running through full weeks, and the date counts down as crossover day is day 27. So we will have an extra meeting this week on Friday. Time, remind me. 9 a.m. on Friday in this room. We will also make that available virtually. We will hear for the first time on HB 87, HB 88, HB 89, HB 1, and HB 120. We will have opportunities for people to come and present those measures to us at 9 o'clock. I think we have the room for 2 hours. Is that correct? Okay, we have the room for 3 hours. I know that a couple of those bills are going to have some people that want to speak to them from our previous times hearing those. So please plan to
read those numbers again, the ones we're going to hear on Friday.
I'm sorry. I'll just repeat again. Yeah, and we will get a notice out. I just wanted to sound this out. We'll hear, and these will be hearings only on these bills: HB 1, HB 87, HB 88, HB 89, and HB 120. We'll hear those. We have, you'll get information on those. We have physical notes on those bills, so we'll sound those before the group on Friday in order to be in a posture if the committee so chooses, where we would be have second hearings and have opportunities for action on those in the future. So with that, if there's no further, are there questions? The committee has questions? Yes, sir. Chairman Spirey.
You said this Friday for the meeting this Friday?
Yes, sir, Friday at 9 a.m. and we're going to make it available virtually. There won't
Okay,
be,
so
it's not
are
the
we
chairs
go-
and
are we going in at 9:30 or 10 Friday?
we're off on Friday.
We off this Friday? Okay, I thought I had it on my schedule. We were in, but I'm glad to hear that. Okay.
Yes, sir. I believe, if not, I'm going to backtrack because I'm surely not going to compete with Speaker Ross.
I must
No
have
more
took it-
importantly, Chairman Smiley, I won't be competing with the Rules Committee for the room at 9 o'clock. If
That's what I was,
if
that's what
right.
my mind was just rolling. I said, we got to be off Friday then. Okay, all right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, we are not on the floor Friday. And I know as such, some people may not be at the Capitol. So we will make the meeting available
Gotcha.
virtually.
Thank
And
you.
it's not the chair's intent to take action on any of those bills. I'll reserve the opportunity and let you know if we have if we don't have any further questions on Chairman Dempsey's bill. If we have time, we might make that available for action. But the intention is we would have a hearing on our day off so we can give ample listen to the comments that will be on these measures. I see no further questions or comments from the committee. I thank everybody for joining. And again, I'm going to encourage you all to stay online or come back to us at 2 o'clock. Chairman, there's probably an alternate link.
I think I think we have to do that
I think there may be another link for those that are with us online. Look for the second link to the hybrid meeting with the House Higher Education Committee, and that'll convene at 2 o'clock on Chairman Knight's call. So without further comment or question, we'll stand adjourned without objection.